All right, Mike DeCourcy's with the Sporting News, the famed columnist. You see him on Fox Sports and Big Ten Network during the college basketball season because he's on take for the Indiana Hoosiers, as you know, and that's important. He wrote an article about Ohtani being the player of the year for the Sporting News, and, I guess he blew out Judge for the vote. I saw the article. He killed him right in the voting. And then I just want to get your reaction to how bad he had 60% more votes than Judge. And then I'd like to know your opinion of how awful both of them have been in the World Series.
That's what Freddie Freeman is for, I guess. In Ohtani's case, he has been a little bit dinged up there, and that's made an impact on his performance. But Freeman has made it so that it has not mattered at all for the Dodgers. In the case of Judge, it's a disappointment without a doubt. And it is tough for power hitters. Those things sometimes come and go, and sometimes the pitcher gets the better of you. And I remember when I was covering the NLCS in 91 and 92, and Barry Bonds just really couldn't be, he couldn't get himself to be Barry Bonds. And the Pirates went home twice as a result of that, or partly as a result of that. It's a tough ride sometimes. And we're way past the days when a Willie Stargell or a Roberto Clemente would dominate the postseason, because pitching has advanced so much in that time. Not that there weren't great pitchers then, but there's more great pitchers now than there were then. And the second reliever and the third reliever and the fourth reliever are all really
those pitchers because of Freddie Freeman hits a home run every time he comes to the plate. So I don't want to hear about great pitching. Where is it? We don't have any here. We don't have any great pitching.
I think it's all in L.A., man. I think that's the problem.
Honestly, Mike, have you ever seen anything worse than that third base coach sending the slowest guy in Major League Baseball rounding third on a one-hop liner to left with Teoscar Hernandez running inward? As you know, there's two things in sports that happen. One, it's a three-point shot stepping into it. It's automatic. If you step into a three, you have way better chance of jumping up and making it. Anyone that steps into a three can launch and fire and hit. Second thing, a guy in left field running in on a one-hop liner with an arm, what do you think he's going to do against a guy that runs 4 miles an hour around third base? That was the worst send home I've ever seen by a major league third base coach.
I think that's a reasonable assertion. I really do. I mean, you've been watching baseball for 50 years, and I think that that's a reasonable assertion because I'm watching Stanton, and he is moving so slowly that it's staggering, and one wonders while you're watching live action, is that slow motion? Because nobody could, no human being could move, no professional athlete could move that slowly in this circumstance, but he really did, and it was so obvious he was going to be out when he turned third base, going for what you would call full steam. When he turned third base, there was no question he was going to be out. It's just a question of by how much. And I just don't understand how you do that in that circumstance. I've seen bad decisions before where guys got thrown out as a result, but never one that was so egregious because the runner had no chance. I mean, had no chance when he reached third base. That's right. It's an easy call to hold him up.
So do you think that, all right, so Judge has these monster seasons, 62, 58, 144 RBIs. Do you feel that we said earlier in the show that he will not be remembered for any of that? Frankly, he's going to be remembered for being a postseason flop. He has been in over 50 games in playoffs over his short career. And now, I mean, he's hitting 091. Austin Wells is hitting 100. I mean, honestly, I have never seen a superstar this bad in any sport ever in a big game, in a big moment, in a big light, in a big spotlight, like the World Series. This guy made the World Series, and he is the most anemic at bat. He misses by 2 feet, and he swings at everything. He's out within 45 seconds.
Well, that's the modern game, Scott, and that's part of baseball's problem now, is that they have taught batters that hitting the ball out of the park is the primary goal, and making contact and getting on base and all that stuff and moving the runners and all that stuff means less than if you hit the ball, it's got to go out of the park. And that's why you can have a circumstance where somebody could be, a 50 home run guy and a 144 RBI guy or whatever, and he only hits 230. I mean, that happens, or some approximation to that happens in Major League Baseball every year now, because that's what they've been taught. And so that's how you wind up, to some extent, that's how you wind up with a guy hitting 090 in postseason baseball. I agree with you that will be a part of his memory. However, he does get the chance, I don't think this year, but he'll get the chance next year, and he still has several years after that where he'll be considered to be in his prime, where he can change the narrative. But he has to change it. If it stays like this will haunt his legacy without a doubt. If there hadn't been the 2006 season for Peyton Manning, then with the Colts, then that's what they would remember in Indy, is that he was as great a regular season quarterback as anyone's ever been. But then the postseason came along and he didn't get it done. If it hadn't been for them getting that Super Bowl, that's what people would think about. But he got that one, and then he kind of got the one. You got to give him some credit for the one in Denver several years later. And as a result of that, that's not what people think about when they think about Peyton Manning. But it came very close, and that's why I have to say about Judge that he's not going to change it this year, almost certainly, but he'll have to change it himself in the next couple of years.
This year? What are you, a comedian? Like,
we saw the Red Sox come from 4 down. We did. We saw it happen. It did happen.
Stop. You already
not going to happen, but I have to allow for the possibility.
That's not happening. All right, so let me ask you this question really quick. Ohio State's playing Penn State in Happy Valley, and they've owned them. They have owned them like no other. The quarterback, Howard, said he grew up a Penn State fan his whole life from Pennsylvania, and they didn't want him. He wasn't good enough to play at Penn State. Will that kid get the revenge that he seeks on Saturday? And will Indiana handle their business at East Lansing and then against Michigan and Bloomington to go into the game in Columbus 10-0?
You know, it's interesting because this is a huge game for Ohio State, because I don't know whether they can make the playoff with 2 losses. It's possible, but I think that concern has to be out there for them. So every game has great urgency for Ohio State now. And they do have the advantage, or apparent advantage, that Drew Aller, the fine quarterback for Penn State, appears to be affected by some level of injury. We'll see on Saturday whether he's himself, but that's a factor that might be in the Buckeyes' favor. But they certainly will have to play better than they did last Saturday against Nebraska. And so I think Ohio State will play better, and I do think they will win. But the Aller question is the one that's hanging over Penn State. As for Indiana, I do think that they will arrive in Columbus at 10-0. I think that this last Saturday, having to play without their number one quarterback and being able to win still decisively against a pretty solid Washington team, says that they're going to get there. But they have to pay attention to detail. They can't allow them to get themselves to start thinking about going to Columbus with a perfect record. They have to focus, as they have really well over the course of the first 8 weeks of the season.